Mac and Chrissy nailed it pretty good in their description of how yesterday went. We did the things that we do a lot, started with transition offense and transition defense and slowly built into some of the half court stuff. And it is nice, as Mac alluded to, that we've got the vast majority of our team who understands every word that comes out of our mouth. Mac's at the point where she's starting to anticipate them and go to spots before we even say things and do things with the team before we even start to talk about it. She's doing a lot of fixing throughout the summer workouts and then on into the first workout. So Chrissy and Carly, the two newcomers, both learned very, very quickly. Having had Miriam already here last year and Sailor since Christmas, it really that we got as much done yesterday as in any first practice that I've ever been a part of. I was shocked that we were able to get all the way through it, conditioning wise, mentally wise. We'll see how much they retained today. We've talked about with just 30 days. We started late. I think something that's worth mentioning is we've started a little bit later than we have in the past. We have peaked a little bit too early the last several years. So rather than try to figure out how to space things out, we just started late. I let them have 2 extra weeks to get their class schedules under their belt, to get used to where they were living, to get used to going to tutoring, to knock out some meetings that we always have at the beginning of the year. The NIL is a real thing for all of them. I wanted them to have their schedules set. So we got started 2 weeks later than we've ever started before. So for us to have the first practice where I feel like we didn't miss anything, that's very satisfying as a coach.
All right, Paul, take it away.
Coach, can you just talk about maybe how that having several of those kids for more of a time, how has that been able to help your team blend? Yeah,
it's good to see you, Paul. First,
thank you. Thank you.
Looking forward to seeing you in person. Having Mac, Aaron, Riley, specifically, those 3, and then I'm going to throw Sam in there because we all know Sam wasn't a normal freshman. It did not take her long before she was correcting me on scouting reports and picking out things that I missed. So those 4 have really helped everybody, Jersey, Miriam, Sailor, all the way, Riley, Emory. Emory looks so much more confident. We were talking about this yesterday. Somebody said, Emory, I think you're taller. And it's not that she's taller, it's that she's walking with her shoulders back and she's confident. Last year she'd say something and there was this tendency to shrink. Now it's so I think we'll really see the benefits of it as we get closer to games, but the maturity that they've showed, getting started a little bit late, they've reported in shape, which I think an immature team would have come in out of shape. This team came in eager to practice. I think 2 weeks off extra probably helped with that as well. So knowing that Mac, Aaron, Sam, Riley, those people are going to fix things in the locker room too. Boy, coaching staffs love it when you've got people that can take care of things that don't ever make it to the court. And I think we've got a number of people that are capable of doing that.
Thanks, Mike.
Yep.
All right. Porter?
Coach, we've seen Michaela really evolve as a player each year she's played. And coming into her senior year, Michaela, do you expect out of her, and what do you expect we will see out of her this year?
I wouldn't tell you you're going to see anything new. It's not like we've ever sent her home and said, you got to develop this, that, or the other. The ownership that she talked about and the voice, she's always been a reluctant talker. Not that she didn't talk. She was just kind of a lot of times had a dominant personality in the room. When you come in with the personalities that she's been playing with for the last few years, I think she really has found the way to talk to each other, I think when it comes from Mac, it kind of comes at you a different way. It's not that, in your faceness, it's subtle, but it's teaching moments, and she's there when they need them the most. So I would anticipate seeing a kid who's not looking over to the sideline to us for a play call. She's not going to look over there for an inbound. She's going to call it, truly, I love football analogies and references. She's going to be calling her own plays a lot. She knows the system. She's helped build the system. She's great at making adjustments. So I think you're going to see a true scoring. I still call her a points guard because she can score. We know that. She's never going to have that, probably label that a lot of people like to attach to and say true point guard, but she is certainly, from the day she stepped on this campus, been ready to do whatever we ask her to do. So I feel like we can pretty much ask her to do anything and she'll give it her best. But I think you're going to see a confident leader that's going to be, like she said, more vocal.
My last question is, you alluded to the leadership you have, but talk about the depth and the combination of your leadership and depth. Do you think that played in a role of you starting your practice late because of, one, the level of competition these kids will be having, and knowing that some of those things that you might not have to work about the previous years, you won't have to worry about this year?
It is that, coupled with the fact too, Porter, that we didn't fill our roster. I sat down with our team and they knew where our roster was at. And when Sasha stepped away for the year, they all said, Coach, I think we might need one more, might need one more player. And that's when we went out and found Chrissy. But the fact that we committed to them as a staff, we're not going to go to the portal and get 3 or 4 people just to come in to fill our roster out. So with us making that commitment to y'all, we need you to commit to us and be locked in with each other. And I think that as symbolic as that was, that we believe in this small group. I mean, we're only 12. We have a walk-on with Lauren Lindsay here locally to give us 12. So I think that symbolic gesture that we believe that we can do it with this group, I think it really made us a lot more cohesive. I think our roles are very clearly identified already. There's a few that are still to kind of be probably determined, but it's the most comfortable I think everybody has been in their roles 30 days out from playing. So I think that maturity, the small size of the roster, you don't have to practice as long. When you only have, 3 teams to rotate through or 2 reps to get everybody in instead of 4 or 5, your practices go shorter because they're more intense. There's no rest time. I looked up yesterday and practice was over in about an hour and 40 minutes. And our best conditioned athletes were tired. I've got a couple that I know I can just kind of look at the color of their cheeks or the sweat on their practice gear and tell how intense practice has been. And that happened pretty fast yesterday, and we got a lot done.
All right, Chrissy.
That's all I got. Thank you.
Thanks, Porter.
Christina?
I think that was me. Hi, Coach.
Hi.
You mentioned Chrissy and bringing her in. Just what role are you expecting her to fill, and what did you like about her when you were evaluating her?
Well, she played at Kansas State initially, where my wife was a coach. So I watched her a lot. We recruited her out of high school. I got to be pretty good friends with her dad, but Kansas State hired her dad, so that we pretty much knew that's where she was going to go. So I watched her play a lot. We played against them. She and I teased each other when we walked in here the other day. We held her to 0 for 9 the day that we played them. So I said, I think you're going to have a better day than you had the last time you were in this gym. She's just easy to talk to. She gets it. Like she said, from the very initial phone conversation, it was very almost businesslike. This is what we have. Sasha stepped away. Amber Ramirez has graduated. Look at this opportunity you have. That's a bunch of shots. That's a bunch of minutes. And I hope that she comes in and eases the loss of those 2 players. She shoots it with great depth, good consistency. I'm never going to put the pressure to defend like Sasha Goforth did. Sasha was one of the elite defenders in our league, but Chrissy is a good defender as well. So I just see her easing the loss of those 2 players. She's confident from the arc. She's got a little more size than Amber did, not the same size as Sasha, and has just a pro's mentality already. She wants to play professionally. She backs that up. She doesn't just say it, she works at it. Her behaviors match up with that. She's in the gym. She's working on her own. She's eating right. She's sleeping right. She takes care of her classes. She takes care of her parking tickets. You know, she does the right stuff. She's grown. She approached it, but like she said, she earned that right from those kids. She didn't come in here asking for anything. She didn't come in here saying, you know, she worked and earned it. And it didn't take long. Our players immediately knew that we'd made the right decision in bringing her into this group. We weren't just going to bring anybody in. They trusted us. And after they met her, they were 100% locked in that we got the right kid to add.
With Jersey, just what goals do you have for her, and where do you see that she needs to grow or what she needs to continue to do?
Well, it's just so nice that she gets to play in position. You know, it is a different, she's another one with her shoulders back and chin up. She's not having to play out of position. What she did last year, the sacrifice she made is never going to stop being talked about by me. But to see her out here now, you know, playing on the perimeter, like when we go through our team, she's looking over at me like, you want me to get a rep inside? And I'm like, why? We got Miriam, we got Aaron, we got Emery, and Saylor can play in there too. You're playing a guard. This is what we brought you here for. And I mean, we owe that to her. She could have gone anywhere in the country. She came here and sacrificed playing out of position when we had to. So it's just no goals. Just let her go out there and learn what she did last year. She's so appreciative of how much she learned. Y'all all know her and know how much she is about growth. She said, Coach, I can bang with those kids now if you need me. You know, and I just laugh and smile, but she looks like a different kid. Y'all will see that when you come watch us. That's that sophomore change from being a freshman and being uncertain to being a little bit more sure than she was. I think as a result, I think you see her back in that comfortable role where she can do things that she's been used to doing her whole life. But she's playing with a smile on her face, and we all know she proved it last year. She'll do whatever the team needs for us to be good.
All right, CJ.
Hey, Coach, you said you were surprised on how much stuff you got in the first full practice of the year. What was some of the stuff that you honed in on that first full practice yesterday?
Well, we're always going to talk about transition offense and defense. If you're not good at that, none of the rest of that stuff that you have on your practice schedule is really going to matter, especially early in the year. But we got really deep into that. We got several layers into transition offense, and our transition defense looked really good. We made a couple of adjustments there. I think we're going to be a much better rebounding team this year because of that size and length that everybody talks about, and y'all will see. So we made a couple of adjustments to that, and it looked good yesterday. And then within the half court, you know, it's the versatility that having somebody like Miriam Dowda around the basket to really focus on throwing it to on the block rather than moving and driving it to the block. Offensive rebounding, she got 4 or 5 offensive rebounds that we haven't gotten in the last 6 years here, just because of her tenacity going every time, and then her ability to elevate over people and get that 9.5-foot rebound that we simply have just not been able to get in the past. So we did some things transition wise. We got past some of that. We got into specifically guarding certain actions in the half court. I've never been able to do that on day one. I've always had it on the practice schedule. We never get to it. But we got to, we really only got 28 practices, so you can't have a wasted day. And we were able to get deeper into that, like I said, than ever before.
And Coach, I'm not sure if anybody's asked you this before about Sasha Goforth, her stepping away from the game, and when she sat down with you, how was she very emotional when she stepped away?
Oh, absolutely. It was you know, this is a kid who's loved the game and still loves the game. She was at practice yesterday. She's still on our roster. You're going to see her around. So don't forget about her. She's still with us. But it was and it still is emotional. Every time she comes in, we hug, and it just is to know how much the game means to her and how much our teammates mean to her. For her to be here yesterday, and she didn't just pop in and popped out. She was here the whole time, sitting over there taking notes. she's been sending me plays. She pulled a game out of a WNBA game, clipped it and said, Coach, this play'd work great for Marion. So it was emotional, but at the same time, to see her smiling and see her feeling great and coming back around, it's all worth it. As hard as it is, man, it's worth it.
Thanks, Coach.
You got it.
And Randy?
Mike, every team has a personality. You may not be at that point yet where you can identify it, but what are you seeing as the personality of this team?
I think it's going to go one of two ways, Randy. You're right. Probably a little too early to tell. I think we're going to have a quiet confidence. I don't think we've got a rah-rah bunch. Like, it's not the loudest gym in the world when you come into it, but there's a workman-like mentality that I really, really like. So I think we're going to carry ourselves with a little bit of a quiet confidence, a little bit of a chip on our shoulder. You know, I think with this particular group, there's some uncertainty on what we can do in the postseason. So I think that quiet confidence will cover us, will carry us very well. But there is also a very fun-loving style of this team. They like to practical joke each other. They like to do some things that none of my other groups have ever been interested in doing. And I don't know who to attribute that to. I think it's just the mixture of them all being in a little bit more comfortable role than all of them a year older. We're a year further out from COVID. You know, we're still dealing with those things that we dealt with that year. So we're a year further out from that. So those are two pretty drastic ways to go, Randy, from quiet confidence to pranking and being in your face confidence. So probably going to land somewhere in the middle, I guess. But I think this is going to have a team that it's just fun to be around. You look forward to the practices, the travel. We've got some really cool games. You know, you look at our schedule, going to the Virgin Islands, going to San Diego. We're playing some incredibly tough teams. I think our team, when they saw the schedule came out, there was some eye-raising games on there, you know, starting with, you know, I had kids asking me, Coach, is this right? Are we going to Pine Bluff? I said, absolutely, you know. So I think they are I'm going to say they're going to go toward that whimsical, fun to be around. Yet there's going to be a time when it's, you know, it's serious. They know when to turn it on and when to turn it off. That's what I'm hopeful of. We'll see if it works out.
Like, every team is different, and this certainly has the look of a different team than what you may have had in times past. You were talking about Jersey not having to go down on the block. How will you evolve your philosophy now around the talent that you have? What changes can we expect to see?
I think defensively, you'll see us be a little bit more aggressive. You know, we've kind of been a contain contest, you know, play the percentages and go that way. I think with Merriam in there blocking shots around the rim, we can gamble a little bit more on the perimeter, can be a little bit more aggressive in ball screens. You know, we could potentially put a lineup out there that's really, really long. So don't be afraid to see some trapping zones. You know, we're going to have some kind of a turnover mentality at time as maybe a change up. Our fastball is still going to be our fastball, what we do, but I do think you'll see some changing defenses. We're going to be a much better rebounding team, which has been, you know, one area that if we could improve every year, I think we could pick up an extra win or two against the best teams. So we will certainly adapt to that talent and what they're capable of doing. And I think because of that added length, we can be more aggressive. You know, we going to get a few more block shots. I know for a fact we threw the ball inside yesterday in practice more than any practice in the 6-year history of us being here. So you'll see some actions like that. You're going to see some isolations in the post for Aaron, for Merriam, for Sailor. We're going to post our guards up some. Chrissy is kind of humble. She can post up a little bit as well. So I think they're going to be versatile. I think they're going to be fun. But I do think the biggest sign, to answer your question, will probably be on the defensive side of the ball with some added pressure and some multiple looks.
Thank you, Mike.
You got it.
And then Porter, you have one more?
Yeah, I got to follow up about Mario, man. Just what I noticed when I got to watch y'all shoot around is her mid-range game and what that element is going to give. You know, you transition offense, the down low, and then the 3-point. But a lot of people's not going to be expected her to be able to have that mid-range threat. And what does that add to your offense?
Well, we're going to be able to bring the bigs away from the basket. You know, in the past, we've not been able to get Tamari Key or Aaliyah Boston or Fastina Foué away from the basket. They've been able to kind of hang out around there. And, you know, a big part of our offense is being able to get to the rim and draw fouls. Now they're going to have to come out there and get her all the way out to the 3-point line, which is going to open up our driving lanes. You know, it gives us the opportunity to put 5 people out there that can make threes, score in the mid-range, and get to the foul line. She went 15 of 15 yesterday from the free throw line in practice. And Jersey went 14 for 14. So between those two kids, when your two kids of size are going 29 out of 29 from the free throw line, that tells you a lot about what kind of quality shooters they are. But Miriam is going to be a problem for players who have liked to hang out around the rim against us and protect the basket. She's going to be a scoring option if they decide to defend us that way.
Perfect. Thank you all for your time.
All right. Good to see everybody.